On the night of our college graduation dinner, I found out my girlfriend of 4 years, Emily Carter, the so-called campus goddess, had written someone else's name on the heartthrob vote. Not mine. Not James Walker. No, she wrote down Ryan Kim. And she thought it was anonymous. What she didn't know was that I could recognize her handwriting instantly, and more than that, I had this ability. I could see her heartbeat index. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Like some kind of weird superpower, but it's real. I've had it since I was a teenager. I can see the emotional heartbeat percentage someone feels toward the people they like. I always saw mine stagnating, but hers. Hers for Ryan Kim jumped from 0 to 89% like it was nothing. Meanwhile, the index she had for me hadn't moved past 45% in half a year. That night, when the class organized the voting game, I had the highest count. The host even joked that I was unbeatable. Ryan was losing badly until he started begging, literally begging for sympathy votes, throwing his gaze at Emily like a sad puppy. She smiled, lips twitching, eyes lowered, then stood up and walked over to the other table, grabbing paper and pen. And of course, her loyal little clique followed her like ducks in a row. 6 votes came in at once, all crumpled together. I watched the host pull them out, acting surprised. Whoa! A comeback. 5 votes for Ryan, only 1 for James. Looks like our student council president is dethroned. Everyone laughed. Some even teased, I bet that one nice-looking vote was from Emily. You know how perfect they are. My fists were clenched under the table. I didn't say a word. Just stared at those heartthrob tickets. I knew her writing. Out of those 5 votes for Ryan, 1 had that elegant, careful penmanship I'd watched her use 1,000 times. So I reached out, picked it up, placed it dead center on the table, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, no need to guess. Emily voted for Ryan Kim. The room went silent. Emily's face twitched, but she didn't deny it. One of her friends jumped in to cover for her, come on, James. It was just a joke. I told her to do it. Ryan was losing so badly, we just wanted to help him out. The others nodded along. Seriously, don't take it so hard. Everyone knows you and Emily are the model couple. Voted best pair 3 years running. Meanwhile, Ryan smiled like he'd won the lottery, putting on a humble face. Thanks, ladies. You're all too kind. Of course, I know it's just for fun. James is the real champ here. If he had campaigned for votes, I wouldn't stand a chance. He turned to me and gave this smug little grin, you're not mad, right? I can give the vote back if it makes you feel better. I laughed. No need. You earned it. The vote, and her. Then I turned to the table and began pouring 10 shots of whiskey, the strongest bottle there. It was part of the game, loser drinks 1 shot per vote they lost by. But no one actually did that much. They all tried to stop me, saying I couldn't handle it, not with my stomach condition. Even Emily came over, grabbing the bottle. James, you can't drink that much. Are you crazy? I avoided her hand, kept pouring. 10 full shots. 1 for each dagger in my chest. I leaned in close to her ear, smiled bitterly, and whispered, when you cast that vote for Ryan, did you think about this moment? Did it cross your mind what it would do to me? Her mouth opened, then closed. No excuse. I slammed the first shot back. Then another. And another. Each one burned like betrayal. If you can't bear to see your friend drink this much, I said louder, then you can watch your boyfriend do it instead. She didn't try to stop me after that. Just stood there, silent. Maybe annoyed. Maybe guilty. Who knows? After the 10th shot, I left. Didn't wait for her. Didn't say goodbye. Took a cab home alone. I felt fine on the ride until I got to my place. I didn't even make it past the hallway before I was in the bathroom, vomiting up everything: alcohol, regret, 6 years of effort. My stomach was on fire. I had to grip the sink to keep from collapsing. My reflection looked like hell. Pale, sweaty, hollow. And in that moment, I couldn't stop my shoulders from shaking. I was angry. Not the loud kind. The quiet, soul-breaking kind. I kept thinking about that number, her heartbeat index for Ryan, 89%. For me, still 45%. Hadn't budged since she met him. And I could still remember the day we met. High school, junior year. She was the new transfer. I was smitten the second she stepped into the room. No one knew it then, but I already had the heartbeat thing. I could see that her bar was always at 0. She didn't like anyone. So I thought, great. That means I've got a shot. I chased her for 1.5 years. Finally, during senior year summer break, she said yes. My heartbeat score on her barely cracked 28%, but I didn't care. I thought, that's progress. There's time. I'll earn the rest. She was smart, driven, always 2 steps ahead. I studied like a madman just to catch up. Late nights, early mornings, extra tutoring, skipped parties. I did it all. For her. We got into the same college. She became the center of attention, everyone loved her. But I wasn't jealous. I was proud. I ran for student council president just to be closer to her world. When school got overwhelming, we'd cuddle and talk about the future. She used to say, "James, when you graduate and make tons of money, take me to Bali, Iceland, all those romantic places. Buy me dresses. Let's get married and grow old with memories." I believed her. Even though her heartbeat number for me was stuck at 45%, I believed every word. I told myself, maybe she's just emotionally slow. Maybe her love is quiet. But she's always been mine. Until Ryan Kim showed up. It was just a party. Some friends gathering. That was the first time she met him. By the end of the night, her heartbeat index had already jumped past 50% for him. That was higher than I ever got. And I knew it. I felt it. Heard it pounding next to me. I thought it was a mistake. A glitch. Until Ryan got into a scuffle outside with some bar thugs. Emily didn't even hesitate. She ran out to find him. Begged me to go help him. She was crying. For him. I fought off 3 guys that night. Got bruised and kicked and bled for someone I didn't even know. But it wasn't the physical pain that broke me. It was watching Emily bandage Ryan's wounds while mine were still bleeding. Watching her give the gentlest care to a man she barely knew. Watching her index tick up to 55%. And mine stay the same. That was the night I stopped pretending. But I still couldn't walk away. Not yet. I told myself it was a one-time thing. That she was just being kind. But the signs piled up. She missed dates. Forgot plans. Even once left me in the middle of a stomach flare-up because Ryan wanted to hang out. She said they were just friends. That I was being paranoid. That I needed to be more mature. And for a while, I tried. God knows I tried. But it's hard to lie to yourself when you have actual, visible proof of someone's growing affection for someone else. And that's why, at that dinner, when I saw her write his name on the ticket, I didn't feel shocked. I just felt done. I thought drinking would numb the pain. It didn't. And now I was lying on the bathroom floor, half-conscious, thinking about how pathetic I'd become. 6 years of love. And all I got was a name on a stupid slip of paper. The one thing she thought would be anonymous was the one thing that finally exposed everything. I woke up in the hospital, the sterile smell of disinfectant clogging my nose, and the first thing I saw was Emily Carter sitting beside me, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her makeup was smudged, her perfect curls limp, and there were dark circles under her eyes, but when she saw me open my eyes, she lit up like I was the sunrise she'd been waiting for. "James, you're awake," she said with this desperate sort of softness, the kind you'd only use if you realized you'd pushed someone too far. My throat felt like sandpaper. I coughed, and she quickly poured a glass of water and held it out like a peace offering. "The doctor said you'd be thirsty when you woke up." I kept it warm. I didn't take the glass. Instead, I croaked out, "Was it fun?" Her hand paused mid-air. She stared at me like she hadn't heard the question. But of course she had. She knew exactly what I was asking. "James, it was just a ticket," she said finally, the weariness heavy in her voice. "Why are you making it into such a big deal?" That tone. That same dismissive, patronizing tone she always used whenever I brought up Ryan Kim. As if I was some insecure loser who didn't know how to handle a guy being around his girlfriend. I felt my stomach churn again, not from the ulcer this time, but from the weight of her words. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Emily, I'm not playing these games anymore. I'm not overreacting. I'm not being petty. That vote? It's not just a joke to me. It's a reflection of everything you've been pretending not to feel." She frowned, confused and annoyed. "What are you even saying?" I sighed and leaned back against the pillow, wincing as pain lanced through my side. "I'm saying you don't love me. You haven't in a long time. You keep saying it's nothing, that Ryan's just a friend, but your heart already made the choice. Your actions already told the truth. I was just too blind to admit it." Her mouth opened again, probably ready to throw another excuse at me, but before she could speak, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, hesitated, then muttered, "It's just a friend, I'll take this outside." I didn't need to look. I knew who it was. That custom ringtone was only for Ryan. As soon as she stepped out, I reached for my phone and saw a bunch of missed calls from my childhood friend, Nathan Reed. His texts were even more frantic. "James, check the campus forum. James, are you okay? I swear to God if this is because of Ryan Kim, I'm gonna lose it." I already had a feeling something had exploded online. When I opened the forum, the top trending post was titled, "Campus Couple of the Year Broken Up." I clicked on it, my face already tense. The post was brutal. Someone from the party had posted a photo walking away from the venue alone, looking completely wrecked, and next to it, another photo, Emily supporting Ryan Kim, who looked just tipsy enough to pretend he needed help. The captions were savage. "She voted for Ryan, ditched James, and then left with her new man. Can't make this stuff up." The comments section was on fire. Most of them were sympathetic to me. "Damn, poor James. 6 years down the drain. She really picked that guy over our student council president. She blind or what?" But of course, there were haters too. "Who cares if he's president? Doesn't mean he owns her. Y'all don't know what goes on in their relationship. Maybe they were done a long time ago. She has a right to move on." I scrolled down and saw a fresh comment, posted just minutes ago, "For real, maybe they already broke up. It's not cheating if it's over. James needs to grow up." Without thinking, I hit reply. "We broke up last night. Simple. Honest." I logged out, then ordered takeout because I hadn't eaten all day. But right after I put in the order, my stomach twisted again, sharp and sudden, like something inside was ripping apart. I took my meds, hoping they'd help, but the pain only got worse. My vision blurred. I couldn't breathe. I managed to call 911 before blacking out. When I came to again, I was still in the hospital. A new 4 was in my arm, and the pain had dulled slightly, like it had been smothered with morphine. My phone buzzed again. It was Nathan, finally catching me while I was conscious. He barged into the room a few minutes later, his face red with rage. "Bro. I can't believe this. I knew something was off with Emily. I knew it. She really voted for that clown. And then dipped with him." He cursed under his breath. "I'm telling you, she's messed up in the head. No way you should still be living alone after what happened. You're coming to my place." I tried to protest, but he was already helping me pack my stuff. "No arguments. I already told my aunt. She's barely home anyway." And just like that, I found myself crashing at Nathan's place, lying low while the forum threads kept spiraling. I spent the next few days scrolling, watching people dissect my relationship like it was a Netflix docuseries. The breakup went semi-viral on campus. Everyone had an opinion. Some called Emily cold. Others defended her. But the weirdest part? The more I read, the less I cared. I should have been angry. I should have felt humiliated. Instead, all I felt was numb. Until Nathan called me in a panic one night. "James, I need a favor. My aunt's drunk at Velvet Room. She's in private room 2, surrounded by sketchy dudes, and I'm stuck out of town at an exhibition. Can you go get her?" I rubbed my eyes, half asleep. "What do you mean sketchy? Just go. You'll know her when you see her. She's the prettiest one in the room." That didn't help at all. But I still threw on a hoodie and jeans, grabbed my phone, and headed out. When I got to Velvet Room, the music was blaring, lights strobing, and room 2 was worse than expected. A bunch of bleached hair guys were crowding around a woman passed out on the couch, long legs, long hair, stunning face, the whole package. I walked in, fake confidence oozing, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Honey, how dare you sneak out without telling me? Let's go home." The room fell silent. I shoved the guys aside and yanked her up gently. Her body leaned against mine, soft and intoxicating, but I kept my cool. One of the girls laughed, "Damn, she's married." "You gotta be kidding." I didn't stop to explain. Just dragged her out before anyone could argue. Once we were outside, she clung to my arm, muttering, "Husband, you're late." Her breath smelled like alcohol and mint. Her eyes were half closed but still glinting with something mischievous. I barely got her into the car before she passed out again. At Nathan's place, I helped her inside, put her on the bed, and collapsed onto the couch. My stomach still ached, so I curled up to rest. But just as I was drifting off, I felt something brush my cheek. I swatted at it, thinking it was a mosquito, and accidentally grazed something soft, her lips. I froze. Snapped my eyes open. She was leaning over me, eyes half-lidded, lips parted, cheeks flushed. "You're awake," I said, my voice dry. "Sorry, I didn't mean to," but she didn't back off. Instead, she sat in my lap, wrapped her arms around my neck, and whispered, "Why are you running? We just got our marriage license, remember?" Her perfume was subtle but deadly. I tried to pull away, but her lips were already on mine, slow and deliberate. I panicked not because it wasn't good, but because it was too good. And I was still technically emotionally raw. I managed to break free, stumbled back to my room, and locked the door behind me like a man escaping a succubus. Heart pounding, I texted Nathan, "Bro. Is your aunt always like this when she drinks?" He replied seconds later, "Nah. She's usually quiet." "Why? What happened?" I stared at the ceiling, completely wide awake, knowing my life had just taken a hard left turn I hadn't seen coming. Morning came, and by some miracle, I didn't run into Olivia Unathan's aunt and last night's accidental seductress. The house was quiet, almost too quiet, which was a relief considering the chaos from just hours ago. I figured she either didn't remember anything or was just pretending not to. Either way, I was grateful. I packed my bag, planning to move back home and pretend none of it ever happened. That's when I got the email I didn't expect. Orion Tech had finally responded. Offer letter. Position, Special Assistant to the CEO. High salary. High expectations. Zero mental preparation. I stared at it for a long time. Part of me felt proud. It was the top-tier company I'd dreamed of. But another part of me felt empty. I'd applied here because of Emily. She always said she wanted to work here, and back then, I wanted to be close to her no matter where she went. But now, that reason was gone. Still, the offer was too good to pass up. So I accepted. Day one came fast. I dressed in my best suit, tried to look like I wasn't having a post-breakup identity crisis, and walked into the sleek glass building like I belonged. HR met me in the lobby and gave me the whole tour, then led me to the top floor where I'd meet my boss. "You're the special assistant," the guy said with a smirk. "You'll be working closely with our CEO. She's tough, smart, and doesn't like nonsense. Good luck." I nodded, not realizing just how much luck I'd actually need. When the office door opened and I stepped inside, the world stopped. There she was, Olivia, passed out on the couch, covered with a blanket, her heels kicked off, hair a little messy but still unfairly beautiful. I blinked. No way. No freaking way. My new boss was the same woman who kissed me drunk just 2 nights ago. I didn't know whether to laugh or run. HR excused himself, and I sat there at my new desk, pretending to scroll through emails while trying to piece together how my life turned into a K-drama in real time. A few minutes later, she stirred, stretched like a cat, and sat up. Her eyes met mine. For a second, I saw recognition flicker. Then she smirked. "You haven't changed much since high school," she said casually, brushing her hair behind her ear like we hadn't had a near-makeout session while I was half asleep. That's when it clicked. She remembered. And more than that, she knew who I was all along. I opened my mouth to respond, but nothing came out. She didn't say anything else either. Just started giving me tasks like a normal boss. Like the night we shared hadn't existed. It was both comforting and confusing. Before I could overthink it, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored the call, but then the texts came in. "Emily. James, can we talk? What does your reply on the forum mean? When did we break up? Please don't ignore me. Tomorrow's your birthday. I want to celebrate it with you. Let's meet where we had our first date, Riverside Bistro." I didn't even hesitate. I blocked her number. I was done being guilt-tripped. But the past wasn't done with me. Later that evening, Olivia told me she had a dinner party to attend and I was coming with her. Said it so casually I didn't even get a chance to decline. On the way there, the restaurant came into view, and my stomach dropped. Riverside Bistro. You've got to be kidding me. Is there a problem? She asked, noticing how tense I was. No, I lied, plastering on a weak smile. We got out of the car, and before I could adjust, she wrapped her arm around mine like we were a couple. My whole body stiffened, and I tried to play it cool. But the second we stepped into the main floor, I heard her voice. Emily. James. You came, she beamed, walking toward me like nothing had changed. But then she saw Olivia on my arm, and her expression cracked. Who is she? She demanded, eyes flaring. Before I could think, I pulled Olivia closer and said loud enough for everyone to hear, my new girlfriend. Olivia raised an eyebrow, clearly caught off guard, but she played along. Emily's face twisted in disbelief. "James, how could you do this to me?" she asked, like I hadn't watched her emotionally leave me weeks ago. "We've been together for 6 years. I was going to surprise you tomorrow for your birthday." I shrugged. "We're over, Emily." "Why wouldn't I?" I expected anger. I expected denial. What I didn't expect was what came next. I instinctively looked at her, searching for her heartbeat index. But there was nothing. No percentage for me. No percentage for Ryan. Just blank space, like I was staring at a stranger. My chest tightened. Not from heartbreak but from realization. The reason I couldn't see her index anymore wasn't because of her. It was because of me. I didn't love her anymore. That lingering thread, that desperate hope I'd clung to all this time, was finally gone. And in its place was nothing. Just quiet. Olivia leaned in and whispered, "How long do you plan on using me as your shield?" Her voice was playful, but I could tell she wasn't entirely joking. We walked upstairs, leaving Emily in stunned silence. On the way up, Olivia chuckled. "You owe me for that entrance, Mr. Walker. You're not mad?" I asked. "Please. That was fun." Her voice was smooth like velvet, but it had a teasing edge. That night, after the dinner ended, we shared a ride home. Olivia had one too many glasses of wine, and she was leaning on my shoulder in the back seat. I tried to stay composed, but the memory of her lips the other night kept resurfacing. When we arrived, I nudged her gently. "We're home, Ms. You." She opened one eye and whispered, "Why don't you just call me Auntie?" My pulse skipped. She remembered. The couch. The kiss. Everything. I was toast. I helped her out of the car and was about to apologize or retreat or something equally awkward when she turned and gave me this look half amused, half unreadable and said nothing before heading to her room. The next morning, I decided to pack up and move back to my place. The situation had gotten too complicated, too fast. I wasn't sure what Olivia wanted, but I knew what I didn't want to get entangled again so soon after everything with Emily. But life, as always, had other plans. As I reached Orion Tech that day, someone called my name from behind. "James." I turned and saw Emily again. Beside her was Ryan Kim, dressed like he was trying to impress someone, probably her. "Didn't expect you to actually take the job here," she said, fake surprise dripping from her tone. "I know you applied because of me. But you made it. Congrats." I stared at her blankly. "It had nothing to do with you." Ryan chimed in awkwardly, "Hey man, I didn't mean to cause problems between you two. If I'd known that vote would blow up like that, I wouldn't have." I waved him off. "Relax. We didn't break up because of you. We were already done. You just made it easier to see the truth." Then I walked past them and into the building, not even looking back. At lunch, I was heading back to my desk when Emily appeared out of nowhere and pulled me into the break room. "Today's your birthday," she said, holding a tiny gift bag. I wanted to give myself to you. As proof that I only ever wanted you." Her voice cracked with emotion. "I know I screwed up, James. But I still love you. I want to fix this. I don't care about what happened with that woman. After today, you'll be mine again. But I won't tolerate this happening again." She was serious. Desperate. But I felt nothing. No butterflies. No anger. Just emptiness. I smiled, took a step back, and said, "Emily, the sad part is, if you'd said all this a month ago, maybe I'd have believed you. But now? Now it just feels like you're talking to a ghost. I'm not the guy who begged for your affection anymore. I'm not even mad. I'm just over it. She looked stunned, like she didn't expect me to actually move on. I walked out of the break room and right back into the office. Olivia was there, scrolling through her iPad, completely unfazed. She looked up and said casually, "Today's your birthday." I nodded, unsure how she even knew. She didn't say anything else, just went back to work. But something about her tone stuck with me. Like she had plans. Dangerous, beautiful, mysterious plans. After work that day, just when I was ready to pack up and finally move my stuff out of Nathan's place, Olivia stopped me. "You're not going home yet," she said, slipping into her coat. "You're driving me somewhere." I blinked, confused. "Where?" She smirked like she knew something I didn't. "You'll see." I didn't argue. Part of me already sensed she wasn't the type of woman you said no to when she was in that mood. We pulled up to a candlelit restaurant, one of those fancy rooftop places where the food portions are microscopic and the wine menu is longer than the Bible. I was about to say this felt like a date when a waiter showed up with a cake and a bouquet of roses and placed them in my hands. "These are for the lady," he said, nodding at Olivia. I froze. "What is this?" She didn't answer. Just sat down and started cutting into her steak like this was a totally normal thing to do. I stood there holding the roses like a confused prom date. Finally, I sat down, cleared my throat, and said quietly, "Olivia. Or I guess, Auntie." Her knife paused mid-slice. She looked up slowly. "What did you just call me?" My mouth went dry. "I meant look, you're 5 years older than me, you're my best friend's aunt, this whatever this is feels a little inappropriate, don't you think?" She leaned back, eyes narrowed with something between amusement and challenge. "Inappropriate? Compared to what?" "You and Emily. 6 years of blind devotion, and she throws it away over a dumb vote. And now you're sitting here with me, questioning if I'm the inappropriate one." Her voice was cool, sharp, and somehow seductive. "James, let me ask you something. Do you think I didn't know what I was doing the other night?" My brain short-circuited. "You remember?" She smiled, slow and dangerous. "Of course I remember. And I also remember how well we matched when we kissed." I almost choked on my water. She leaned in, her eyes locking with mine. "You're not a kid anymore, James. Stop acting like one." Then, as if that wasn't enough, I saw something flicker near her like a faint shimmer in the air. My ability activated on instinct, and for the first time in weeks, I saw it, a heartbeat index. A perfect 100%. Hovering right beside her name. I blinked. Wait. Is that real? But the number vanished before I could confirm it again, almost like it never existed. I stared at her hand resting on the table, elegant fingers tapping lightly, and before I realized what I was doing, my own hand reached out and covered hers. I wasn't thinking anymore. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the fact that Emily had drained every last drop of affection out of me. Or maybe it was because Olivia you was the first woman in a long time who didn't make me feel like I was constantly chasing a feeling that would never be returned. Whatever the reason, I held her hand. And after that night, she really became my girlfriend. Yeah. The infamous Olivia you. My boss. My best friend's aunt. The woman I once rescued from a bar full of creeps. She was now mine. When Nathan found out, he called me immediately, freaking out. I knew it. I freaking knew my aunt had her eyes on you from the start. I was half laughing, half horrified. Dude. Don't say it like that. You make it sound like I got hunted. He wasn't even fazed. She totally did. You know there's a photo of you in her study? One of those sneak shots from freshman year. You're in your military training uniform, looking like a freaking magazine cover. She's had that thing framed. I swear she's been plotting this since high school. I didn't even know how to respond to that. I just sat there, phone pressed to my ear, while Olivia walked past me in a silk robe, sipping coffee like she hadn't just been exposed as a long-term stalker. The next company event was the welcome party for new hires. Olivia held my hand in front of the entire company. Everyone stopped talking. I swear you could hear a pin drop. Ryan Kim, who had somehow landed in the tech department, was glaring at me like I'd just stolen his entire personality. Emily was standing by the drinks table, looking like someone had slapped her with a truckload of reality. Later, when I went to the bathroom, she followed me. Of course. James, she said, eyes burning, how could you be with that woman? I crossed my arms and raised an eyebrow. Why not? Are you doing this to spite me? She demanded. To get back at me for what happened. I laughed. You think too highly of yourself. You're not even worth that much effort. That shut her up for a second. Then she asked, do you really like her? I shrugged. What else do you want me to say? I'm not the kind of guy who clings to a failed relationship just because of sunk cost. You lost me, Emily. Someone else found me. End of story. Her face fell. I could tell it hit her hard. Maybe because she finally realized I wasn't bluffing. Her voice shook. James. You can't like someone else. You're supposed to be mine. Says who? I replied, keeping my tone steady. You were busy playing pretend with Ryan while I was trying to hold us together. Now you want to act like I'm not allowed to move on. Her lip trembled. She inhaled sharply. I'll block him. Right here. Right now. Look. She pulled out her phone and started removing Ryan from her contacts, deleting chat histories, everything. I just watched, not saying a word. Are you happy now? She asked, eyes desperate. Is that what you wanted? I shook my head slowly. No, Emily. I wanted you to care before I stopped loving you. Now it's too late. That's when Ryan showed up, clearly looking for her. He looked confused when he saw me and said, Yen Yen, where were you? I've been trying to reach you. Did you block me? Emily turned on him with fury I didn't know she was capable of. She slapped him across the face. Don't ever touch me again. We're not anything. We've never been anything. Stay away from me. Ryan stood there, stunned, holding his cheek. We've slept together so many times. How can you pretend none of it happened? Her face turned ghost white. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. He looked at me and scoffed. You don't need to go crawling back to him just because I'm not good enough. He's with someone else now. A damn executive. You're just being bitter. That did it. Emily exploded. Get out, she screamed. The entire event paused for a second. Someone even dropped a glass. But honestly, I wasn't even shocked anymore. Later that night, Olivia didn't ask me where I disappeared to during the party. She didn't say anything. But in the car ride home, she suddenly leaned in and kissed me like she was trying to brand me as hers. It wasn't like before. This time, I kissed her back with every ounce of frustration, relief, and adrenaline I'd kept bottled up. Her body melted into mine, and when we pulled away, she rested her head on my shoulder, whispering, I don't care if you were hers first. You're mine now. And I believed her. Because in that moment, I felt it too. The heat. The madness. The start of something that wasn't built on history but on fire. And maybe fire burns, but damn, it felt good to finally be the one who wasn't begging. After that night, there was no more pretending between Olivia and me. We were together, and not just in private. At work, she made no effort to hide it. She still bossed me around like any other assistant, but outside office hours, she was all mine. I should have been nervous, maybe even scared. I mean, she was still my boss, technically Nathan's aunt, and 5 years older than me, but none of it mattered. When she looked at me with those sly eyes or curled up next to me on the couch, all that logic just disappeared. It felt dangerous, intense, a little insane and completely addictive. Meanwhile, Emily had vanished from the office, and Ryan. Well, let's just say karma didn't take long to find him. A few days after the welcome party, rumors started swirling through the company. Someone leaked internal documents. Sensitive stuff. Tech designs, prototype serious violations. HR did a quiet internal investigation, and guess who they pinned it on? Ryan Kim. I didn't even have to ask Olivia, I already knew she was behind it. Whether it was revenge or business, she moved fast. One day he was sipping espresso and flirting with interns, the next he was being escorted out by security and slapped with a lawsuit. Word on the street was that he owed the company a massive fine, and after that, no one would hire him anywhere respectable. Last I heard, he was working at some random startup where he was basically treated like a glorified errand boy. As for Emily, she stopped coming to the office too, probably out of shame, or maybe because she didn't want to face me. But fate has a sick sense of humor, and I ran into her again at a networking event. She was dressed in a flashy outfit, clinging to the arm of some middle-aged executive with a wedding ring still on his finger. At first, I thought she was just networking, until I saw her get slapped to the ground by another woman, his actual wife, apparently. I didn't step in. Just watched as the scene played out, and for the first time, I felt nothing. No pain. No sympathy. Just silence. Maybe that was closure. Maybe it was indifference. Either way, it was over. Olivia and I, though. We were still writing new chapters. Every night she came home to me, kicking off her heels, sliding into my arms like she belonged there. And every time I looked at her, I felt like I was slowly learning what it meant to be wanted without having to beg for it. But one thing kept bugging me: heartbeat index. I hadn't seen it again since the night at the restaurant. I tried not to obsess over it, but sometimes, when she was asleep beside me, I'd stare at her and wonder, did she really feel the same way I was starting to feel? Then one night, she caught me looking. "What?" she whispered, stretching her arm across my chest. "You look like you're trying to read my mind." I chuckled. "I'm just thinking." "Dangerous habit," she murmured, lips brushing my neck. "You thinking about her again?" "No," I said quickly. "You." She paused, then looked up at me. "You're not scared I'm going to hurt you the way she did?" I shook my head. "You're not her. And you're not the kid you used to be," she said, almost to herself. "I liked you even back then, you know. That summer you stayed at Nathan's, I saw you walk in with that awkward haircut and that oversized hoodie. You barely said 2 words, but you helped fix the leaky faucet in the kitchen without being asked." I laughed. "Wait, you remember that?" "Of course I do," she said, smiling. "I remember everything." Then she did something that caught me completely off guard. She reached for my hand and placed it on her chest. "There. Can you feel it?" My heartbeat. "You don't need numbers to know it's yours." And just like that, it appeared again, faint at first, then sharp and clear. 100%. I blinked and almost missed it. The heartbeat index. Hers. For me. I didn't say anything. Just kissed her forehead and pulled her close. That was the night I stopped checking the index. Because I didn't need it anymore. A few weeks later, Olivia called a company-wide meeting and announced a restructuring. Nothing major, just shifting departments around, assigning new leads. I got promoted, technically. Still reported to her, but with more responsibility and more pay. People talked. They always do. But no one dared say anything to my face. Not when I was the boss's boyfriend, and not when I was also actually good at my job. I wasn't just some arm candy. I had earned my spot, and they knew it. Still, there were whispers. The old guard didn't like me. Some of the board members questioned my rapid rise. Olivia didn't care. Let them talk, she told me. By the time they realize what you're worth, it'll be too late for them to do anything about it. She had that kind of power. Quiet. Calculated. Ruthless when she needed to be. And yet, with me, she was soft. Funny how that works. One night, after a long strategy meeting, we ended up staying late at the office. Everyone else had gone home. She sat at her desk, bare feet up, hair down, sipping wine from a coffee mug. "Do you miss her?" she asked out of nowhere. "Emily?" I nodded. "Sometimes. Not in the way you think. I don't miss her as a person. I miss what I thought we were. What I thought we had." She looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "Fair enough. Do you regret anything?" I asked her. She tilted her head. "Plenty. But not you." Then she stood, walked over to me, and sat on my lap like she owned Muich. "Let's be honest, she kind of did." "Promise me something," she whispered. "Don't run when things get real." I wrapped my arms around her. "I've already stayed longer than I ever did with her." "That should tell you something." "It tells me everything," she said, then leaned in and kissed me like we had all the time in the world. And maybe we did. Or maybe we didn't. But for the first time in years, I wasn't worried about the ending. I was just happy I'd finally started a chapter that felt real. A few days after that late-night conversation with Olivia, things started to settle into something almost resembling normal. I had my routine, my apartment, my job, and a woman who kissed me like I mattered and looked at me like I wasn't second place in someone else's heart. For the first time in forever, I didn't feel like I was begging for scraps of love. I was actually living in it. But of course, real peace is rare, and drama has a habit of circling back when you least expect it. I walked into the office one morning, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, and the front desk girl gave me this strange look like she wasn't sure whether to warn me or congratulate me. I raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. It wasn't until I got to my floor and saw Olivia standing by the window that I realized something was off. "He's here," she said without turning around. "Who?" I asked, setting down my coffee. "Ryan Kim," she replied, her voice flat. "Apparently he's filed a counterclaim. Wants to meet face to face. Says he has evidence that someone framed him." I blinked. "And you're entertaining this? Why?" She finally turned to me, lips pressed into a line. "Because I like watching people squirm when they realize karma bites back harder than I do." That was Olivia, never one to pass on the chance to twist the knife just a little deeper. The meeting was short. Ryan looked thinner, more desperate. His suit was wrinkled, his shoes scuffed. He barely met my eyes when he walked in. He talked a big game for about 5 minutes, throwing out accusations like they were candy, until Olivia calmly opened her laptop and played a video file. Security footage. Time-stamped. Crystal clear. Him copying files onto a USB drive. His face drained of color so fast I thought he might pass out. Olivia smiled politely. "We're done here." He didn't even argue. Just left, shoulders hunched, muttering something under his breath. As the door closed, I looked at her and said, "You've been holding on to that footage this whole time?" "Of course," she said, sipping her coffee. "Timing is everything." And just like that, Ryan Kim was no longer a ghost hovering over my life. That afternoon, I saw a post on an anonymous gossip thread. Someone had spotted Emily working at a shady PR firm downtown. Apparently she'd been brought in to manage a married executive's image but ended up causing more drama than she solved. There was even a video attached. In it, Emily was wearing a skimpy dress, escorting the same man from the cocktail party into a black car, only to get ambushed by his wife again. Same woman, same fury. This time, she dragged Emily by the hair and screamed that she would sue her into oblivion. I stared at the video, not even sure what I was feeling anymore. Pity? Disgust? A weird sort of vindication? I didn't know. I closed the tab and went back to my work. Olivia had a meeting with the board, so I stayed late that day, organizing reports and catching up on emails. When she came back, she looked tired, but her eyes still lit up when they found me at my desk. "You're still here?" she asked. "Where else would I be?" I replied. She smiled and walked over, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I like seeing you here." I stood and pulled her into a quiet hug, right there in the middle of the office. No hiding. No shame. Just us. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I realized I wasn't haunted by my past anymore. I wasn't wondering whether I was enough. I wasn't chasing love that didn't want to be caught. I was here, present, and chosen. Olivia kissed my cheek and whispered, "You know, I used to be scared you'd go back to her. That one day, she'd cry hard enough, beg loud enough, and you'd run right back into her arms." I used to be scared of that too, I admitted. But not anymore. Later that night, after dinner and a few glasses of wine, she rested her head on my lap while I scrolled through news on my phone. She looked up suddenly and asked, "Do you ever wonder what your heartbeat index would be if you could see your own?" I laughed. "Honestly? Probably chaos. I think mine's still 100 for you," she said softly. "And not because of some ability. Just because. It is." I didn't reply right away. I just stared at her, this beautiful, dangerous, complicated woman who had somehow become my safe place. "Then maybe it's finally my turn to catch up," I said. She smiled and closed her eyes. A week later, Orion Tech released its latest product, and Olivia was all over the media. Sharp suits, flawless interviews, a true CEO queen. And me? I was the guy in the background who used to be a nobody, who got cheated on at a graduation party and drank himself into a hospital bed over a girl who couldn't even choose him over a vote. Funny how fast life shifts. Nathan called me that night. "Dude. You know she's got you wrapped around her finger, right?" I grinned. "Maybe. But I like it here." "You're sick," he said. "Probably," I replied. "But I'm also happy." Silence. Then he sighed. "As long as she treats you right, I won't say anything." "She does," I said. "Better than anyone else ever has." He didn't argue. The next morning, I woke up early and found Olivia already in the kitchen, making coffee like it was our 1000th morning together. She handed me a cup, eyes half-lidded from sleep, and said, "You ready for the next round?" "Bring it on," I said. And as I stood there, sipping coffee beside the woman who saw me even when I couldn't see myself, I finally understood. Love wasn't supposed to feel like punishment. It wasn't supposed to be earned with suffering. It wasn't supposed to be about proving your worth over and over again. It was supposed to feel like this. Steady. Fierce. Unapologetic. And after everything, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the guilt, the breakdowns, I finally knew what it felt like to win.